Welcome to the ComicFest
2017. Good.
Whereas we'll return to the comics.
Listen.
I know it's classified.
That's classified. But listen to me, okay? I don't know specifically when that is happening, but you know he's not going to be dead forever. I mean, come on, you know. That's as soon as they killed him. Listen, it's comic books. As soon as they killed him, you know he was coming
Nobody
back.
really
It's just
dies.
that exactly. They're just waiting for
You
the
know
next
who dies
event.
in comics?
Tieri.
Non-profitable characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I killed a couple of those myself. I've killed a couple of those.
Thunderbird dies.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And then there will be flips with random other scenarios where they come back. In the
Yes.
world, they would always bring him back from another.
Realm or
Yeah.
But however they're gonna bring him back, you know it's gonna be some sort of event. You know what I mean? You know, exactly. So, I guarantee you, Wolverine is coming back. It's just a matter of when. They brought back the Human Torch. They brought back Nightcrawler. They bring everybody back. You know.
in Limelight.
What's that?
You have any new characters that you guys have planned to put in the Limelight?
And where?
In the Limelight. Any new characters?
Oh, in Limelight. You said in Atlanta. It's like, why would I put the guy in Atlanta? I don't know.
I mean, that's a funny question because as a writer, his job is to kind of create new characters and stuff, and I'm kind of skeptical about creating new characters for.
Well, case in point, I'm doing Pestilence. That's a creator-owned thing. I got a piece of that. You know what I mean? That's new
But that's
characters.
very rare. Like, you gotta kind of be careful.
We want to find it straight because the world is, the comic world is increasing, so you should be seeing new characters, new writers every.
I'll tell you what. I'm working on the big Batman event that they announced, the Dark Knights. There's new characters in that. So technically, that's the next thing that I'll be.
Hopefully a side character might make it big.
Make what?
I say hopefully a side character might make it big.
Yeah. The thing of it is, when you create a character for a company, okay, they own that character. Okay, they have something called character sharing, where you hopefully eventually see some money from it.
Never know how
Yeah,
much
we-
to like money.
Right.
The biggest story for character sharing and the company owning the character is Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they won that big lawsuit.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I
then,
didn't create
but then just
Superman,
sue
so I ain't
them
getting
to get it.
Superman money.
Yeah.
So you never really know how many. Listen, the companies are reputable and they're good people there, but it is nearly impossible for you to know exactly how many downloads
Exactly.
there were. You know,
You know, and-
record companies can say, "Oh, we only downloaded 2 records."
Right.
2 million
Right.
records.
Yes.
So it's kind of hard to know.
And there's been so many times that the paintings that I've done wind up being reprinted, and I have
nobody
no
knows about it.
idea. And people walk up, "Oh, I saw you in that book." I'm like, "What book?" And
You know that book you didn't get paid for?
Right, the book you didn't pay
That
for.
book. The book you got
Exactly.
screwed on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's and I know that, if you create a character, you hope you're going to get like honest response.
Like
The best thing to do is create your own characters. You own them.
Right.
Yeah,
Your
creator
own
owned if
company.
you could do that.
You
Yes.
Right.
publish the books.
Yes.
No one else has rights
Right.
but you.
And I think
And then if that becomes something, it's all you.
And the bottom line is it's like online comics is mostly you're not going to make money at it, but there are people who have built a following and they have a means of actually, like, if it builds a big enough following and that's usually people who are very, very consistent. They're not going to give up.
Right?
They put out new pages every week, and eventually they build an audience, and eventually people notice. I know at least one guy that's happened to, and he's gotten like options for movies, and it all started in his house, just doing like, and it's great because back in our day, we'd have to like find a printer, find you have to go to
Oh, yeah.
You'd have to have them shipped to you have to warehouse the stuff in your basement,
Right.
basically.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and now it's so much money outlay. So I mean, any creative person has.
You
such
could put a
good
web
opportunity.
comic together. You just
Yeah.
do it online. Yeah.
Yep, online
The
comics.
question is though, like anyone can do a web comic, and that's right. I can draw a stick figure, right, and that's my web comic.
It's a terrible web comic. I wasn't gonna read that web comic.
It's really good.
Terrible.
You always put
Terrible.
it on.
Don't tell these people
why
to
it's not
draw
a
stick
success.
figures as web comics. You're giving bad advice.
But you can do the greatest web comic in the world. The question is, the internet is this giant ocean of crap. A lot of it. Listen, if you have to realize, for example, in the old record industry, right? If you walked into a record store, you may not like the record that you buy because maybe you don't like to listen to jazz or you're not a blues person or something, and maybe you don't like soca, which is rare in Trinidad. Right? But at least you're
You
guaranteed.
just found out what that is yesterday.
Yes, I know.
Like he's an expert. Oh, you listen to soca? You just found out what that is yesterday. You didn't know what the fuck that was.
As if he is an expert.
No, I'm not. But I'm not.
The guy
Oh, you
from
walk in there and
Brooklyn
talk about
is a
soca.
soca.
You just found that out yesterday.
He thought
You
they meant
literally
soccer.
found that out
He
yesterday.
thought they meant
Literally
soccer.
learned about that yesterday.
That's right.
Soca, yeah. Soca
He
player.
had his first coconut water yesterday.
I did, yes, I did. It was
He didn't even know how to
delightful.
use the thing to scrape out the pulp.
I didn't like you know how to use it.
You had it
Like
backwards.
you know how to use it. I had to show you how
You
to
had
use
it
it.
backwards. But I'm just saying.
An asshole.
Anyway.
But just
Guy.
saying that at least the stuff that was in the store was made by talented people that were found by a record company. So these guys are good. They have talent. Let's get a producer and make a good volume of their music. And this is good. Let's get a nice illustrator to do a good album cover. So when you bought something, there was quality control in there. And with the internet, we don't have that.
Right.
We have lots of amateur stuff done by lots of people. So to find the stuff that's really good is very hard.
Right.
So if you do a webcomic, the question is, how can you let the world know that your webcomic is really good and it's worth your time?
The way
Right?
that you could do that is you have proven like people out there who are really they have a big audience. They've already got that, and the way is you basically send your work their way, and assuming that they're going to even open it. But a lot of times, if your stuff is good and you can get it in front of their eyes and they can read it, then you might just find a very powerful person who can put a link on their page. Then their people go, hey, what's that? And click on it, and that's as far as I've been told that's the best way, because you're kind of hitching your wagon to a
Somebody
bigger
else's
wagon.
star,
Yeah.
I guess that goes back to what Frank said in the previous panel, and it's like it's the relationships that you build. These are the people who you might bring something to their attention, and they're like,
Right.
somebody who
Yep.
can probably forward this to someone else.
Yeah, like I said in the other panel,
Right.
talent is only a part of what it is to do comics now.
Right.
Your personality is part of it.
Yep.
Social media is part of it. The connections you make, all that is part. Networking, all of that is
Yeah.
part of it.
Yep.
Talent is just a part of it now.
It's just
If
a
you,
part of it.
you can have great talent and be a really creepy weirdo.
No, you can have no talent.
And be a really
Hey,
creepy
baby,
weirdo.
exactly.
But George Clooney said that once. He was talking about being
About
a
you?
success- No. He was talking about being a success in Hollywood and saying that he thought that there were many guys who were much better actors than him, but they were somewhat socially awkward, or they didn't know how to relate to people very well.
Right.
And when you work with someone, you're going to be working with them for a long time. So
Exactly.
They need to know that you're a good person and easy to talk to.
Always
easy to work
remember,
with,
people hire people they like.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you have to be like fucking Alan Moore to be an asshole, you know what I
Yes.
mean, and get hired.
So what you're saying is Alan Moore's an asshole. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Do we have that on video?
Yes, yeah. Alan Moore's an asshole. Frank says in Trinidad. No,
Hello,
you're an
Internet.
asshole.
He said it, not me. But it's true. Like that the personality, someone that you want to work with who is a positive person. No one wants to work with negativity all day
Right.
long.
Right.
Or someone who's argumentative or hard to deal with. Right?
Yep.
you know, you have to have an amazing amount of talent for someone to put up with that kind of crap.
Yeah.
Right? They want someone that's, you know, helping them do their job too, right? So that's an important thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So don't be a dick.
Yes.
It's basically what we're saying.
Right.
So like, let's say you have I'm not, so you can correct me here. If like you get a script, Frank does the script, and then
Right.
you need to write, you need to do a panel, or you need to do, how does that influence your art style? I mean, does it have an influence on your art style?
It depends on your relationship with the writer.
So, okay, so
If you know, first, well, I
That means you
don't
have
know
no
Frank as well.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
You never pick up the phone.
Yeah.
No, but
I
seriously,
don't work with
if
people
you
who do
write
that
something,
with
let's say,
coconuts.
that's grim and gritty, okay?
yeah.
If you're a writer, okay, and you know you're working with a certain artist, you know, you try, if you can,
Right.
to make your story
that.
match the artist. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if I know somebody's good at big action stuff, maybe I'll put a little bit more action scenes in there. Same thing if I know somebody's good at grim and gritty
Right.
stuff, maybe I'll tailor my story more towards
And if
that.
you don't know, then the editor might, you know, like make that decision for you and
Sometimes
say like, you
they'll
know,
put them together too. They'll
Yes.
say,
They'll put
I
them
like
together.
this guy's
This
work
guy
is
will be-
dark,
would go- be
and
good with this
guy's
guy,
a
yeah.
really sick, twisted
I
weirdo.
did-
So let's put them together and see what kind of crazy stuff we
Yeah.
can come.
And that's how I met Nels.
So like,
You know, it's
I-
important that
I did
editors
a-
are very good at pairing.
I did a
writing talent and
job.
art talent.
I did a job once, and it was for DC, and it was I had to take Carmine Infantino's pencils and paint them, right? And
I was his assistant
you are
when I was in college. I was his. Carmine Infantino is a guy from the '60s who worked on Batman and created many of the Flash villains.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yep.
Through
Captain
gallery.
Cold and many
Yeah,
of those,
okay.
yeah, Boomerang and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and he ran DC Comics actually.
For a while,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. No, it's good. Thanks for no, but but this is one of the things where your editor is sleeping on the job because like and I did the whole job and I did my best. I was proud of it, right? And I handed it off to him, and this is Carmine Infantino's pencils, and I did my stuff, and as I'm handing to him, I go, you know, what's that guy's name? Ken Stacy would probably be a better fit for this job, and he's just like, you're right. He's like,
fired.
here's your painting. See you later. Thanks for my check. Because I was just like, they picked me, but he didn't think of the other guy. So it's just one of
So
those
you got
things.
the check real
I
quick?
got the check, yeah.
Run to the bank and cash it real quick before they can put it cancel
They
out.
were happy with it, but it's just like it's one of those things where like just because the editor, you know, they might not know like to put things together. And but listen, if you're working with a writer, I like to talk to the writer.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
can, get on the
Yes.
phone, find out who they are.
Yeah.
You know,
It's always a good idea.
I had
It's
one
always
writer.
Creative team, get them together.
Yeah.
Go for beers on a Friday night if they live in town or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And get to
Or
know
even just
that
get on the
person.
phone. And,
Yeah.
You know, I did that when I just did the Jughead Hunger thing. I got on the phone with Michael Walsh, and we just talked things out. You know what I mean?
Jughead the Hunger is now, Jughead from Archie is now a werewolf, by the way. So
Yes.
that's,
Yeah.
that's what they're
last
Yes.
I checked, he was a
Wait,
zombie.
what? Yes. And then, you know what?
He was a
Sold
zombie
out.
last I
You
checked.
have copies, he has copies.
Yes, I have copies. Yes. Anyway, when I did that, I talked it out with Michael Walsh I think it made for much better. He had some, you know, a good creative team. You realize the project is what's important. You know what I mean? The end result is what's important. How you get there and whose idea is what is less important. You know, the end result is what's important. So whoever the idea comes from, if it's from the writer or the artist,
Yeah.
you know, it's to me. I've always said best idea wins. Whoever that is.
Right.
If that's from me, great, and usually it is from me. Or if that's from the artist, or even the editor, or whoever the hell, you know, the janitor.
Right.
Okay. As long as the idea and sometimes it's hard to recognize who has the better idea, and sometimes you have to put your ego aside and say, you know what.
Which is something you never.
That's something I never do. But sometimes you have to put your ego aside and say, you know what, his idea is better than mine. Let's go with that one.
Right, right.
Did you ever have a situation like that?
Yeah.
Personally?
Yes. I've had situations where I said, you know what, you're right. I've had situations where I knew my idea was better.
Right.
You know, and you know, I overruled you. We're using my idea, and then what happened here?
Nothing.
And then you have something where you say, you know what, you're absolutely right. Your idea is better. Let's go with your idea. You know?
working with Sean Chen.
When I work with Sean Chen, yeah.
He was the ex,
Sh- When we created Mr. Right, see the funny thing about Sean, when I worked with Sean on Wolverine, Sean, like you could see how I am, okay? And Sean is like very quiet
He's
and
very
reserved. And,
humble
yeah,
kind of
exactly,
guy.
exactly. So we're like polar opposites, exactly. So, you know, I'm writing stuff where, you know, Wolverine, he cuts this fucking guy's head off, and he fucking takes a cigarette and he puts it in this guy's eyeball, and Sean's like, what? You know, so I had to like yeah, exactly. What kind of fucking lunatic did they pair me up with here, you know? So I had to like get that out of Sean, you know what I mean? Like there were moments where I said, Sean, we got to get a little dirtier here, you know, we're a little bit too nicey nice, you know what I mean? You know, this is Wolverine, you know.
But that could also work the opposite. Some of those quiet guys could be pretty violent.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, they're all quiet and everything until they turn in the pages. Going, wow, you're sick.
He had no respect for Wolverine at all.
The Mr. X character.
Mr. X,
Okay,
yeah,
now
I realize that.
listen to this. When I did, okay, so we created this character, Mr. X, and he's like he's supposed to be like a combination. You find out like his secret is he's telepathic. So he sees Wolverine's moves before he makes them.
Right.
So he's been training his whole life. He's basically Batman crossed with Jean Grey, okay? And he defeats Wolverine, and Wolverine eventually defeats him when he goes berserk because he can't see his moves.
Right.
Because Wolverine can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest, one of the times where I caught the most shit, okay? We're telling Mr. X's origin story. And as a child, one thing he's a serial killer, okay? One thing serial killers do is they start on animals, okay?
That's how you started, Frank?
That's how I started, yes. As a matter of fact, it is. That, I'm right from what you know. So there's a scene where he's a kid, and he takes his puppy, and he puts it in a microwave oven, okay?
That's tasty.
Yes, that's tasty. We caught more. Now, keep in mind, I was writing Wolverine. He killed like 50 guys an issue. Nobody said anything.
Yes.
I killed that puppy. People lost their fucking minds. Lost their fucking minds. How could you do that? Blah, blah, blah. This is,
How did you do that? The imaginary puppy died in the imaginary microwave.
yeah, exactly. I literally, the same issue, I had Wolverine set a guy on fire, take a cigarette out, and light it off his face. Yes, exactly. Light it off his face. Fine. No problem whatsoever. I killed the puppy. Killed this guy, fuck this guy.
like with a character like Wolverine who's this bloody and gritty and whatnot, how does censorship play a part?
Oh, I got in trouble a bunch of times. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it used to be you couldn't even show the claws. You couldn't do blood as red.
Right. Yes. It had to be black blood.
Right.
Black
And
blood.
a lot of times you couldn't show, like, if the claws go through his head, it would have to be a silhouette.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So you
that
couldn't
was
really
a
see it,
staple
you
in
know,
Marvel. Even
lots of things.
Deadpool one where Deadpool has him impaled on the cover of
okay.
Wolverine. He has him impaled over his two blades, and it's
Yeah,
a
it's a
silhouette.
silhouette.
Yeah.
It's only black and red.
Yeah.
You see, yeah.
My
There's been a lot
attitude
of problems with the comics
when I
too,
wrote
with already
Wolverine,
getting
my
that
attitude
stuff.
was, I'm gonna push the envelope until they tell me no. You know what I'm saying? And then eventually, sometimes they did tell me no.
Oh,
You know?
really?
Yeah, I would push the envelope. Look, I said, look, fuck it, I'll put it in there. If they make me take it out, they'll make me take it out. But that was my attitude.
What was one memorable thing that you couldn't do? You weren't allowed to do.
I remember there was
The guy ate the guy's eye, right?
Yes.
Wolverine's
I
eye.
caught. Yeah, that was another thing I did.
Since the eye regenerates, right? And I remember he was like, "Bah," and this is Frank. I'm freaking writing Wolverine, and he plucks out his eye, and he's yelling at me.
The guy. That sounds just like me.
He regenerates, and he's yelling at me.
The problem was we did it on the cover.
Oh,
Okay, that's what it was. The thing was Wolverine goes into jail, and they find that there's like basically like there's this sorcerer that's like buried
In
under
the
the
jail?
jail.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way he uses his powers is he eats human flesh, and he casts spells like that way. So Wolverine is like, oh wow, you eat that guy's flesh, and you know what I mean. So he captures Wolverine, and he plucks his eye out and he eats his eyeball. Well, some people thought that was a little bit too far.
So like there was well, I don't know how recent it was, but like within the last 5 years or so, called The Best There Is. It was a really gritty Wolverine. Like he's infected by this virus that causes him to see everybody as being zombies or sorts.
Right.
And he literally kills an
everybody.
entire club filled with people.
That's nice.
Yeah, I did something.
And how does I mean, you guys talk about the what was the code? Oh jeez.
Comics Code.
Comics Code,
Comics Code,
yeah,
right.
which doesn't
Oh.
exist anymore.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Well, what happened is at some point, they just started defying the Comics Code. Comics Code had a lot of power at a certain time.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that.
During the 50s, one guy, psychiatrist guy, kind of wrote a book called Seduction of the Innocent, saying
Yes.
Right.
that book,
warping
yeah.
all the child's minds, and they brought the communism fear into it and things like
Is that
that.
the one where he said Batman and Robin promoted
Yeah.
Could be,
That's what the
yeah.
shit.
And
Yeah.
for a while, they created this authority that would censor
Right,
everything.
right.
And then eventually they wanted to tell some stories that were really important. DC Comics, I think, it was either Marvel or DC, I don't know which one was.
I think Marvel got
Marvel
did
with
one.
Harry
Marvel got rid
Osborn.
of it first.
Harry Osborn started
Yeah,
to
he's
get
a- he's
strung
a-
out on drugs,
Yeah.
which
Right.
they didn't want this for kids, but they thought it was an important story about the danger
Of drug
of
use.
drugs, and that
Yeah.
his friend, who he cared about,
Right.
was in trouble, and he had to help his friend because of this terrible thing.
Right.
And they said, no, you can't do that. And he said, like, I think it was Stan at the time.
Stan
"No,
is the one who said
no,
it, yeah, Stan
no,
is
we're
the one who
running
said
it.
it.
And they said, no, you can't. And he said, no, this is important. And they really were powerless to really stop them to doing it. And after that, other companies, DC did the same thing with Green Arrow.
Green Arrow.
Yeah,
His-
yeah, yeah,
His
yeah.
sidekick who was getting strung out on heroin. And,
Right.
And then they also were using some of the African American, I think also in Green Lantern, because that was a problem in the African American community as well, that they were trying to reach out, to some of the black areas in the United States where this was a problem too. And it was a very socially important thing to do, especially for youth that, a lot of times would not listen to authority figures. And they were getting a lot of their, moral lessons from comics and things like that. So it was important to break that thing. And then later on, they had less and less power. They tried to just clamp down on the gratuitous
Yeah, eventually
violence
I
and
think they
things.
dropped it when, in the 90s?
In the 90s, at some point, they realized, like, you know what, we don't.
Right, right.
I think at one point they were just censoring themselves. They said,
Yeah, no, but that's
"We'd
what
rather
essentially
not-"
they do
Yeah,
nowadays. They
exactly,
censor
yeah.
themselves,
You know,
essentially.
Right, yep,
Which is
yep.
always good. You want to make sure you're keeping an eye on what stuff.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, yeah,
Wolverine is always that character that takes it pretty far
yeah.
to the edge.
Yeah.
You know?
I have a question for Frank, actually.
Yeah.
As a writer, how much of the storyline do you have in your head before you publish something? And even when you finish publishing something, do you know where you're going to take it next?
Well, I'm not the one publishing it, Marvel is, but the when you go with a storyline, let's say from any of the big companies, okay? First of all, it depends on if you're pitching the story or if they're pitching the story to you, okay? So if I come up with a pitch, let's say for Wolverine, okay, I'll present it to them as an outline and say, okay, this issue, this is going to happen, this issue, that's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And they'll determine, at the end of the day, especially when you're working for Marvel and DC, these are their toys that they're letting you play with. And they're only going to let you go so far. And if you don't like, it's like a kid in the park, that's borrowing your toy. You don't like the way he's playing with the toy, he's going to tell
You take it back.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's going to take it
exactly.
back or say, hey, don't play with it like that,
But that's a very common thing too, where they already have, they get so complicated, the storylines, where
Yeah.
Wolverine left the X-Men and now
Right.
he's in somewhere over here, and then
Yeah.
somebody else says, okay, so Wolverine's with the X-Men, like, no, he's not, all right.
Right.
And they have to coordinate a lot of that stuff.
Well,
And-
especially with the crossover, the crossover events, like I said in the other panel, is like the biggest clusterfuck. Those are some of the hardest things to do, okay? Because there's so
Yeah.
many different
storylines.
Well,
with
yeah,
the different
exactly.
things, and they
There's
have
so
to,
many
you
different
know.
characters, moving parts, and oh wait, that happened last week, so I can't do that in my story. In this book, and there's so many different moving parts. Those are really the Civil Wars, the World War Hulks,
They got really
the Secret
complicated,
Wars.
yeah.
Those are really the hardest things to pull off.
And
And
now
some-
you all merging both universes, like, people just kind of confused Miles and Peter and everybody just like,
616 into
What's that?
I think it was an alternate universe.
Oh, where they changed the different.
Yeah, thank Christ I didn't have to deal with any of
Yeah, oh
that.
my God.
I didn't deal with any of that
Well,
crap.
sometimes I remember, like, some guys
Yeah.
get really arrogant. They're like, "Oh, I want to kill this character." Like, well,
Yeah.
we have him in 5 other storylines. Well, I want to kill him. Well, like, you're fired.
Yeah.
No,
Really?
like that. Well,
Well,
not
it's-
fired, but like,
well,
no,
right, that's
you
kind
don't
of
get
extreme.
to-
You
Well, it's a
don't
great
get that
story
thing.
idea. Like, not now. It isn't.
Right. At the end of the day, it's not your characters.
Yeah.
Right,
You know,
right.
you're coming in and if they tell you, I've always said this. I said, if I got to make changes, look, I recognize they're your characters. Okay. The one thing I tell them, I make the changes though. Don't make the changes without me, you know,
Right.
because I know that's
Tell me what has to be changed.
and I'll change
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't be making changes, and you know, because at the end of the day, my name's on that comic
That's the
book.
thing.
You know what I mean? And there are companies and events that have happened where that's happened, where they just change shit on people, and that's to me that's a big fucking no.
not cool.
You know,
Yeah.
you let me know. I recognize at the end of the day, if you want something changed, I'll have to change it, but I'll change it. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, my name is on the comic book too.
Right. That's very true.
So like when I was like 13, 14, I just
Yesterday?
started. Yeah.
He's very young.
Nah.
He's very young.
Yeah, so I remember being reading X-Men, 1991, I think that was when it was when it released, and the writing was a bit above my head at the time. So like you'd find I would be reading, and then like, what is this word? And I'd pull it back. Right? Do you think the writing, as the years progressed, did you think like they told you to kind of like dumb it down? Because I find sometimes the writing is just so plain, straightforward. You know, you don't really see that creativity or where.
I actually think writing right now, comic book writing, is as good as it's ever been.
Oh really?
I think I really do. I think if you look back at some of the others, you know, I think right now it's as strong. Comic book writing right now is as strong as it's ever been, in my opinion. It's competitive, and you know, there's people from television and authors and stuff like that. So I think it's as competitive and as difficult and as good as it's ever been. My opinion. Anyway.
There's still things that you had to do. I remember, like the Claremont X-Men's,
Yeah,
or
that's it.
even ones with Cochran was doing them. One of the things I remember buying like 25 issues at a convention in a row,
Right.
and going through them. And you notice a very smart thing that Claremont would do is every 3 to 4 issues, as Wolverine is going through the woods or something, he would just mention, by the way, as he's thinking, that I have the powers of an animal, and my sense and my adamantium skeleton which is unbreakable, makes me a killing machine. And you're like, oh, this guy's got an unbreakable skeleton. So if you're picking up this comic and the last few issues didn't have Wolverine in it, and you're seeing it now, you're like, ooh, this guy's got a metal skeleton that's unbreakable, and claws that can cut through anything. And, you know, and kind of like a little recap of, oh, by the way, I'm this guy. Because you never know when a kid picks up a comic.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why I
So if
like
you're
the
in middle of
recap
story
page.
arc, it's
Like when
important.
you see some comics do a recap
And
page.
they never had that.
I
Now
li-
they have that little summary now.
Yeah,
which
see,
is really
I
great.
like that, so I don't have to do that shit in the book. You know what I mean? You do it, read everything you gotta do in the first page. So I ain't gotta put the traveling through the woods. I got adamantium shit. You know what I mean? I ain't gotta do that. Put it all in the first page. So there you go.
Now, you had some art that you wanted to show?
I mean, some of it's no. You know, I got like not a lot. I have a few. Some of it's been up there already. The one that I don't have that's not out is this one, which how do I do?
Double click. Or you know
Okay.
what? There's the mouse.
That's all right. I got it.
Oh, sorry.
Open.
Open.
All right. There you go. This one was so like when you're just doing like a one shot poster.
It's wonderful. It's absolutely
called
wonderful.
Wolverine at Night.
Wolverine in the dark. Let's see. Why is this not? All right.
That's it right there. But so yeah,
There
that's
you
it
go.
right there. So
That's cool.
So basically, this like what you have to do is when you're giving like all I had was we want something that's reflective of Days of Future Past, and I love that.
Yes.
That Wolverine, that scene where Wolverine. All right, so when I did this, I would be like, I'd tell people, what do you think is the next thing that happens after this image? And they're just like, he destroys the Sentinel. I'm like, have you read the issue?
Yeah.
He winds up a steaming skeleton at the bottom. Just like that scene of seeing him vaporized, like lived with me. And so this is the moment
disturbed you when you
before
were a
he
kid.
Right.
dies.
Right.
So like whenever you do like a painting or something in a, I'm not talking about within a comic book. It's you'd bring the same kind of like, I want a story there. I want like you guys to feel like there's something going on here. And I'm sure like that you do the same thing. It's just so that's that. But
We've been talking about it earlier. This storyline was only. Anybody know how many issues it was? Two issues.
Two issues.
Two issues.
And it,
Nowadays,
whole
this would
movie
be
had
this
two
would be
issues.
stretched out to a year.
but
But how do you feel about that though? Like,
People write for the trade now. The companies write for the trade. It's 100%.
Explain what the trade is.
Okay, well, usually they want you to write in intervals of anywhere from 4 to 6 issues.
Right.
You know.
Because they later re-release it as a
Yeah.
trade paperback.
Yeah.
So
Collected
a
edition.
compilation of them together, which is really good because then you can kind of get a full good story arc rather
Right.
than the collector's trying to chase down the one issue
Yeah.
and and it's hard to find. So now you go to the bookstore and these nice collections there, and they're usually well priced.
Right.
You know, and you can usually get a nice thick
A
trade
must.
paperback that has
But yeah, but there's
25
right.
issues
We,
in one
we call
shot.
it writing for the trade, and sometimes, you see shit is stretched out because, but that's
You find that they're stretching out the story.
sometimes I
for
do
that
think
in
it. Yeah,
general?
sometimes I think they do. Yeah, sometimes I think sometimes I think it's a mistake because I think sometimes. I mean, this could have been stretched out, maybe another issue or something, or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes you have to accept something is a 2-issue story. You have to accept something is a 3-issue story. You know what I mean? You don't have to stretch everything out to. I think when we were talking about the Netflix shows.
Yeah, yeah.
The Netflix shows. Well, me and you were having that conversation.
yeah.
I was saying with the Netflix shows, they're
There's 13.
They're 13 episodes, and I think they'd be better served at being 10.
10.
Because you I feel like on especially Jessica Jones,
Stretching it, right.
they'd stretched a little bit.
Yeah, right.
You get some repetition in some of the stuff. It would have been I think it better served being a shorter and stronger.
Yeah, you can cover a lot more territory in the Days of Future Past
Sure.
world, but it was like those little, because it was only like those 2 issues, and you see like little snippets of, oh, that's that guy, and what happened to them? Why did they have
Right,
that?
right.
And your brain starts like putting the story together.
Right,
in your head.
right.
And that's why I still remember it. I was just like, what the hell happened to Johnny Storm? What the hell? That's not that's Franklin Richards. Whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like it lives with you.
Yeah, I remember even like there's a one panel where they describe what happened, and there's like a sentinel throwing a spear at the thing's head, and it's
Right.
like holy shit,
Yeah.
and stuff like you don't have to spell out exactly what
Exactly.
happened, which was what they would do nowadays. You
And they
just have
kinda-
that glimpse, and like you said, you do the story in your mind.
And they did that in Logan, the movie. Like there was
Yeah.
like you don't know what Professor X did.
right.
Right, yeah.
You don't.
Well, you have
don't
an
know. You don't need
inkling,
to.
but it's not spelled out like
Right,
right.
right. Yeah.
100%.
Well, back in the older days, too, don't forget, it was very common to do an entire story arc in one issue.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
Bruce Banner's walking down the street,
Yeah.
a bunch of angry thugs in a pickup truck run him over, turns into the Hulk.
Yeah.
Right.
Super villain explodes out of the sewer.
Right.
Giant fight, the end,
Yes.
Next is
and that's it. And,
Right.
and all of a sudden, I got to go clothes shopping again,
Yeah.
right? Because
And it's a lot of work for the writer.
yeah.
It's like a ton. And Stan Lee was always like saying like I've made decompressed comics. It was
That's like the worst Stanley impression.
He does. There you go.
Nelson, I've made the worst decompressed comics of all time.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, it's much better.
Stan is also a brilliant genius. Joe Orlando was one of my teachers at the School of Visual Arts. Worked on Daredevil from like the beginning with Stan Lee, and he would say how brilliant Stan was at getting you to come up with ideas. So he'd be like, "All right, Joe, that sounds great. I love it. So here's the deal. Daredevil has these guys cornered in a garage. What could he do to subdue these guys? And I don't know. He could throw the tires, that lands on the guy. That's great. What else? And he'd pick your mind,
Right.
and he'd get these ideas and be like, okay, I'll call you back. And then he'd finish a script or whatever, or he'd give him a layout for the idea of the story, something very loose. And then when the pencils would come in, Stan would write the script
Around
based
it, yeah.
on what, the loose ideas that basically you came up with over the phone.
Right,
you know?
right.
But he was good at coaxing,
Right.
giving you an idea, this, and seeing what you would come up with, and then maybe editing that some more. And at the end, he'd
Right.
write some stuff where he would even put in stuff for later, little
But that's why
snippets of things
comics
that-
are like, it's a collaborative medium. If
Yeah,
you're not,
that's way
unless
works
you're
best.
doing it by yourself,
Yep.
which is a lot of work and a lot of time, it's a great, it's fun too. It's fun when you're working with other people. And I worked with one guy. We came up with storylines, and it was just, we were fighting the whole time. It was just like, it was just knock down, drag out, but we got the best ideas out.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I remember I was creating this comic, The Udayman, at the time, and I was speaking to a writer, I'm not going to mention his name, and he thought he was telling me the story about how it would be cool that like a super guy with superpowers is on a date with some girl, and something terrible is happening, and he wants to stay on this date, and he's like crushing the table. And I'm like, wow, what a dick this superhero is. Like, people are dying over here, and like, you're really worried about getting laid? Like, are you serious? Like, so much you're like, they're children dying in the streets and chaos. Like, oh, I like the boobs on this chick. Like that is the douchiest superhero of all time. Like, who would want to even read this? Like,
I would. I'd read that.
Yeah, but
Well,
I totally read that.
That sounds like.
I'm going to create that. I'm writing that. That's my next book, right there. You just lay. That's my next book.
I
you
thought
can never take him anywhere.
Do it, please.
that sounds like
done.
The Boys.
What's that?
Garth Ennis, The Boys. That's something that those
Oh,
superheroes
yeah,
would do.
okay.
And those. And do you ever read that one?
Well, this guy was supposed to be a good guy,
Right.
You know, who would, you know, like, I gotta go. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
So like with staying on topic here with Wolverine, Dave and Nelson, doing the art, is there like any one piece of Wolverine that you did that really sticks with you? Like it's like, wow, I really like this piece that I did.
I did a lot of paintings with Wolverine on it.
Yeah.
And I think I did like a trading card. Actually, me and Dave worked on the same set.
Yeah.
And his pieces were so much better than mine.
No, they weren't.
This talented
No, they weren't.
bastard. I was
No,
so
they weren't.
jealous of this
No.
bastard.
I agree.
I made
No.
a little voodoo doll, and I stabbed it with needles. It looked just like, I sculpted. It looked
That's
just
what
like
that was.
That's
Damn
right.
it.
You thought it was sciatica. It was really me. It was like knitting needles. They were so good.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know if they did this to you, but they took like 5 of mine as a promo thing. They gave them
Yes.
away to like, you know, if you bought X amount of the stores, they would give you one of the art pieces. And I did a kind of cool Wolverine piece of him fighting a bear.
Yeah,
slice
I remember that. That's
and they
iconic.
gave
That's
that
another thing I
away.
got in trouble for.
And
I sliced up a polar bear.
see, that, like, it was an animal.
They thought it was. They were like pieces flying all over the place. You know, this is after the Coca-Cola, you know,
right.
polar bear stuff. So I don't know.
I think the next thing should have you some guy slicing up a coconut, and then you'll still get shit for
There
it.
you go.
Wolverine slicing up a coconut. There you go. That's the next story. There you go. That's that 5 issues right there. Wolverine slicing up and drinking a coconut.
But that's a character that you like. I don't know about you, but
Well, you know what?
I love that when
How
I
do I
was a
get
kid.
back to
Like,
where I
it
was?
Just X out here.
X out. Okay. So, like, some of the things that I love to do is, God, I can't even operate this damn thing.
Where do you want to go? This one here,
Yeah,
number
this
2?
one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the one. No, that's not it.
No?
Oh,
That-
that's pretty cool though.
That's cool. But like, so that was cool. There's one.
Want to see another one?
Yeah, you got
If you
there's
see how it
no.
was down below, sure.
Yeah. That one right there. See, let's see if that one's it.
Oh,
Nope,
yeah.
that's not
Yeah,
it.
that
But
was
that's
the
still
one,
cool.
That was the one that you used in the card
Yeah.
set.
Well, see, the thing about it is the card set, the painting is not as good as that.
Was that masterpieces or X-Men like Ultra
Masterpieces.
X-Men?
Masterpieces. Yes,
right.
it's masterpieces. But like that was what the bone claws. I'm just like, I don't like the bone claws. I was never
I
into
didn't
it.
like that.
I just
Really?
don't. I just don't. Oh,
Why-
you do?
So what about the bone claws? Did you not like?
Weirdo.
Was it like a pain in the ass to draw?
No, just like a fanboy. I'm like, I want something that's gonna slice through stuff. You know?
They're cooler. The adamantium claws are cooler. Let's
I
be
know they're
honest.
cool,
They're
but I
cool.
mean, at the end of the day, when we're talking about the character himself,
Yeah.
they did go back into backstory saying that he always thought that these were implants, but they were actually part of
Part
him.
of his-
as that
Right.
Right,
whole.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
when they removed the adamantium in Fatal Attractions,
Okay.
that he realized,
Right.
holy shit, this thing is
It's
a part
actual
of me.
body.
Right.
It's not implants. So,
Right.
I mean,
Well, that was at the time. That's when we did those cards.
95.
That's what
Yeah.
was going on. Like we had to do this stupid. Like you're at the whims of like the costume designs of the time,
At the-
and
at that
and
moment,
Thor. Did you remember painting Thor? He had
Yes,
that
it was a
weird
weird
like
costume,
that
the
weird
Captain
like
America one
like
with
ha-
that.
half belly shirt.
Yeah, I
Thor.
remember
I
that.
was just
Yeah.
like,
He looked like a bikini model. It
I
was
was-
terrible.
Yeah, it's like a Chippendale store.
Yeah, bad Chippendales dancer.
It was
Was
really,
terrible.
really
All he was
bad.
missing was like a little bow tie.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's it. That's all he was
Yep.
missing.
so okay, so
Bring the thunder.
Did you talk
Yeah, that's it.
So, as you guys talk about costumes, is there like a costume that you liked for the character, and is there one that you really freaking hated? Like, holy shit, get him out of that.
As far as Wolverine, I've liked all the versions, but the brown and tan one is
Yeah.
not as I don't like that as much as the yellow one.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, there's something, and you have to realize that when you're dealing in comics and graphic impressions and color and things that pop off a comic book page, and they had limited colors that you could use, especially in the old days. Maybe like 45 different colors,
Right.
and that was about it.
Yep.
You know.
Oh, so you guys are actually at the mercy of technology back
Yeah,
then?
definitely
Okay,
printing
okay.
technology. I mean,
Right.
they were little squares based on how much cyan, magenta, or whatever, and that's it. And they had
Okay.
little codes for that, and that was
Yeah.
that. And you thought about something that was graphic and interesting looking. In fact, even John Romita, when they first did the Punisher at the time.
Oh, he's going to easel.
If this was the Punisher, or whatever.
Is this your stick figure comic?
This looks a little penisy.
Only you think
Ow,
of
ow.
things like that. You
Can I
weirdo.
tell you?
You're
Well, now you put
obsessed.
arms on it, it's not. But
So when they did the original Punisher, he had a little skull over here.
Right.
Yeah,
For
okay.
the design, and
Yeah.
John Romita said, like, this is ridiculous. He goes, here. This would work better.
Right.
He goes, and make this part of the belt, you know, and this would be the teeth, and here's this.
Yes.
You know, and this, followed the shape of his chest.
Right.
Right.
Right? And by putting these eyes in like so.
Right.
And it really followed here, with the collarbone
Right.
and
Right,
the
yeah.
cheekbone like
Yep,
that.
yep.
And it really created a truly interesting, powerful
Right.
graphic design. Now, no assassin would fucking wear this. Walking down Fifth
yeah, exactly.
and like,
Giant
"Yeah, I wanna
skull.
get a latte," By the way, just in case you didn't know I was an assassin, giant skull on the chest, incognito. Right? Like, yeah, no.
But you
right?
wore a trench coat, come on.
Yeah, well, that changed
And the
everything.
trench coat is open. So the giant skull on the chest, right? Okay. Well, by the way, I also have a giant gun on my shoulder. Right? Okay.
Wait, there's the thing that the color you're talking about
Right.
is like basically there was like if somebody was wearing a black costume,
Right.
it had blue highlights.
Yes.
Right.
It had a
Yes.
certain only that's all I had. So my first job to
Right.
draw the Punisher for this
Right.
magazine, I started to paint him, and as I thought he's got a blue costume. So I have him hit by some spotlight, and I'm a bad painter at the time, so I'm just keep adding white. And his costume's getting more powder bluey. And then he's got these white gloves and little white boots
Yes,
on,
yeah,
and he's
yeah.
just like,
Well, that was your mistake with the pose.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta show you. I will send you it. I will send you it. It is horrible.
You're such a bad boy.
Yeah. Fuck you, Spider-Man.
Hi there.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
You were laughing because the new Spider-Man movie, the villain guy is this British character, and at some point he just sounds like a bad Broadway actor. He's like Spider-Man. Yeah, that's not scary. Oh, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
It's scary me doing that. Right? That's scary. That's not the like it's a giant lizard.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Like, ooh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Ooh, come sit down
You owe me
beside
date
me.
with a latte. Like, all right, Yeah, I think they have to stop casting the actors from Broadway. That's a little too soft.
A little too theatrical.
It's a
Yeah.
monster, for God's sakes.
Yep.
Villain for a new age.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Different kind of.
And but how he really fights Spider-Man is he just torments him with show tunes.
Right.
And now another number from My Fair Lady, Spider-Man.
Oh, there it is. So like sometimes like you like things when you draw something.
Really great piece that did.
There it is.
Oh.
So this one was like that scene in the Hellfire Club where he
Yes,
falls through the
yes.
floors.
It's a great
and he
scene, yeah.
and he just and it's like it's all replete with story. There's so much story in this because it's like he's like down in there and he's just getting up. You think he's dead and he's covered in like
Sewage
water and
and
sewage,
water, yeah.
and he's just like, I'm not done yet. And so this was like me, the next scene of him, which is not as dramatic, walking through the water towards the camera, but still, it was like those kind of images.
Did you ever finish this piece painted?
No, I never
Serious?
did.
Is
Never
it for
did.
sale?
Yeah.
I
Too late. This
sold.
It's mine.
Nelson.
Dave.
Well, maybe because you guys want, I'll transfer it to a board and paint it this summer.
There you go.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Put put Trinidad.
You know what you need?
Yes.
You know what you need?
I'll
is
put,
an
like,
exclusive
Trinidad-
print for next year.
What's that?
An exclusive print for ComicFest 2018. What do you think?
All right.
There you go.
Okay. You got it. You got it.
That's nice. That's great.
No, but like the thing is like the stuff that like when writers do their job and you get like inspired by it as you know, because we're not writing, but you take that and you internalize it and you try and make it like, you know.
And we were young when this came out. This is when we were at the
Yeah.
prime of our
Yep.
youth. I remember I was in maybe like 8th grade or 7th grade when this
So you're like
came out.
17, you know?
What's that?
You're like 17, you know?
Yeah, exactly. He was like 40 then. Yeah. When this came out, exactly.
Hey, your parents are gonna get a phone
Oh,
call.
man.
You get out of my yard, you. Oh, my colon fell out again. Oh, pick that up. Oh, what a mess. But you know, it's pretty cool that kind of hit us in that spot that we
Oh,
still
you got hit in the
think
spot.
of how
Yes,
cool,
absolutely.
how cool that was at the time,
Absolutely.
and like how like you just I know exactly what that scene
That
is.
was-
and it's a great rendition
Yeah.
of that. You know.
And we were still just getting to know Wolverine at that point.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that was maybe a year, 2 years into like Wolverine being on the team,
Right.
and like it was like clear like he was like just the star player.
Yeah, without
And-
doubt.
If
He
you
stood
remember,
out, yeah.
Cochran, like Nightcrawler,
Right.
okay? It became more focused on Wolverine when Byrne took over because Byrne liked Wolverine.
Right.
So he used Wolverine more.
Right,
You know what I mean? It
right.
was Nightcrawler was more integral in the Cochran issues, but when
Right.
when Byrne took over, he liked Wolverine, and that's when Wolverine
Yeah.
really
And-
took off.
And they worked together a lot, him and Cochran. He co-plotted a lot of the stuff. And one of the things I thought was really cool, in that issue, actually, one of the things as he kills some of these Hellfire
Club,
guards,
yeah.
they talk about how some of them have bionic arms and
Yes.
robotic arms
Right.
because he's slashed them up and killed so many of them and left them
Right.
handless because
Yeah.
chopping off the guns.
Right,
and
they
stuff.
became the
And then
Reavers.
The new Logan movie. One of the
Yes.
great scenes where the guy gets in the car and he's got the robotic arm.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, whether
Yeah.
Wolverine did that to him or that little X-32 girl did, I was like, oh, all it made
Yes.
me think of was this back then.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
now someone was smart enough to take
Yep,
that
yep.
and
Yeah.
work it in well.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
as soon as he put his hand on his face, I was like,
I get that
you know?
reference.
Yeah, like little chills. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Well,
It
Everybody
was
see the Wolverine movie here?
the Logan movie,
Logan?
it was so.
Anybody not like it?
Well done.
I loved it.
I loved
thought
it.
I
loved
thought it was the best.
Yep, me too.
I thought it was the best rendition of Wolverine.
It was. It
You
was.
think so, Spencer?
Whatever year.
I think so too. I think so
The
too.
first three X-Men, I'm
I
like,
think it was trying to
those
get
are
that
from
was
actors,
1980s.
movies. But this Logan movie was, it really,
You liked
Yeah,
it or you
yeah.
didn't like the first three X-Men?
I didn't like
I
it.
didn't.
No?
I didn't.
I was heavily criticizing. I was one of those
Really?
heavily criticizing the comic to the movie adaptation. And it's later on in life I went, you know what, it's an adaptation, accept it.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's funny.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
there's
you
so
can't
many
do that.
issues
Yeah.
with
Some
comic
things
book
don't
movies
look well on
because
screen and
you-
stuff like
You
that.
cannot if you put him in his yellow.
Exactly, it
outfit,
looked ridiculous. It would
so
look ridiculous. Exactly.
It's amazing.
Exactly, exactly. This would look ridiculous on screen. The yellow costume.
And then you come and see a movie where all Storm does is walk.
Yes.
Guys for like 6 seconds.
Yes.
And you're like,
Yeah, and in the comic book, she's always in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then Storm is usually this high, Wolverine is usually this short,
Yeah.
they come and they get the
Yes.
opposite.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's something that kind of bothered me.
Yeah.
I know Wolverine is that main player, and
Yeah.
they want to make him a
Yeah.
handsome
Yeah, yeah,
Hollywood
yeah.
leading man.
When-
but he's like shorter than I am. He's supposed to be like 5'1" or something.
Yeah, like you're 5'1". Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Fucking midget.
But like,
I said he's shorter than me.
He's not shorter than you. No way.
So they just excite
How old are you?
More
5'5".
and more.
and I remember saying this actor should play Wolverine. And
Well, he's like
people-
6'3",
No,
Jack-
not
Jackman.
not him. But like years ago, I watched Predator, and Billy, the Native American. If you look at his
Yeah,
face
yeah,
structurally,
yes,
he
that-
looks like the way they
Wolverine.
drew him.
Because he has that broken nose.
And I was just
Wolverine
like,
has weird,
that dude is
nose.
Wolverine.
Yeah, yeah.
And people are like, shut up, Dave. He's too tall. And then Hugh Jackman is 6'6",
Yeah.
and like, you know, it's just like,
And he's too handsome. Wolverine is supposed to be a kind of a grungy.
I think he's
guy,
been
you
pretty
know.
good as a Wolverine.
No, listen, don't get me wrong. I
Honestly,
think
he
he's
was
a very
pretty
good
good.
actor.
In
and
this
he did a
one, he
great
was really,
job.
yeah.
But it's different. But the thing I think that you got to realize, if you actually read the X-Men story in sequence and all the things that go on, and even how Professor X just goes and finds the team in one shot and
Right.
everything. If you did that all in one movie, it would be a little ridiculous and stuff. So one of the things that I think that they did very well, and Bryan Singer understood very well, is the relationship between all the characters. That Wolverine and Cyclops, they don't get along.
Right.
One guy is a real rule follower, and the other guy doesn't fucking follow any rules.
Yep.
Right?
Like when he steals his bike.
Yeah,
That was
or even
awesome.
like,
That was
you know,
great.
where you want to get your hands off me, where, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's not afraid of it.
Well,
Right.
that's the
You know,
brilliant
right,
thing
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
Claremont
You know.
did was create that love triangle.
Yes.
I mean, that book really took off after that, you know,
Right.
Cyclops,
Yeah.
Wolverine, Jean Grey, that love triangle, that is really
But she
what...
never really loved Wolverine. He was in love with her mostly.
I don't
You know.
So what? She was still always about Scott.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, they grew up. They shared a lot of things together.
Right.
And they believed in the same thing. He was this interesting stranger. But he was
I'm
doing
Team
all the-
Wolverine. She should have wound up with Wolverine.
Yes.
All the
That's it.
interactions
Simple
with
as
the
that.
actors.
Simple as that.
He's not good at expressing himself, so he needs a
And
psychic
that's
to read
the
his
most
mind.
important thing, that you get the
Yep,
soul
there it
of
is.
the character. If the plot line changes a little bit different,
Right.
That's right.
Make it a little soft for you.
So, I heard someone say they wanted to see that piece you did with Wolverine versus Sauron and that.
Oh, yeah, that's in there.
I want to see that one.
There we go.
Oh, what else?
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Let's kill the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
So like with that, I mean, it was from a comic where he's getting like just torn apart, and then they jump into this fire pit, and so like you can't see it because it's dark, but there's a shadow of Wolverine on the wings.
On his wing, okay.
So it was the whole thing was like the wings were a really nice visual device to kind of like contain them, you know, and you know, so it was. But I love this piece just because it was one of those things that just sometimes you surpass yourself. I was much better. Like this fits with my later stuff, and my earlier stuff that was like a freak occurrence where I suddenly
It's a
like
beautiful
was
piece.
better than what I was, you know. So
That's a rare thing for any artist who pushes themselves. Like when you do a piece and you're like,
Yeah.
Not bad.
Dang,
usually the
sometimes,
whole thing
yeah.
is you finish it and you're like,
I don't like this.
almost every piece I do, like you're like, yeah. And you're like, eh.
So, sometimes
It's
even as a
alright,
writer,
but,
you know when you hit a home run.
And
You
then
know when like, okay, I
But that
nailed
never
that
lasts.
shit,
For any
you know?
good artist, that never you're like, nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
Next.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
the
yeah.
next one's
yeah.
going to be better and even
Right.
more flawless.
Yeah.
And when you start saying that everything's perfect, that's when you should retire.
Oh yeah, no, of course. You're,
Right,
you're
yeah,
always
yeah,
learning.
always
You're always
that.
trying to prove
Right,
yourself. You
right,
should always
right.
be.
Yep,
yeah.
yep. And it's like, you know, the thing is, you stare at this. I mean, the I don't know how long it takes to write a book, but drawing a book, you get to the point where you've seen this slowly unfold. And I remember I was working on a book, not for Marvel or DC, but I had been working on it for so long, and people were just like, "Oh, this looks really cool." I'm like, "Yeah, I can't experience it like you."
Right.
I cannot ever open a
No.
book and go, whoa! It's because, you know, we slowly sweated this thing out. So I came up with a really interesting way of getting that back that didn't fully work. But I tried. I hired a hypnotist to make me forget my own work.
Yeah, this sounds.
Swear to
This
God.
sounds okay. Battle's over, people. Let's go. On that note.
But like, you know how you're
Time
talking
to go.
about? Yeah. It was just like I was like, if I could forget my own work, yes.
You snap your fingers like,
Yeah,
where
you're a
am I?
chicken.
What? I'm in Las Vegas. What?
He starts clucking like a chicken.
Snap your fingers again.
No, but
With 2 kidneys?
I do. But I almost no. But the guy was really. But anyway, I wanted to experience that. I was so desperate. But it was more than that. I wanted to promote. You were talking about how to promote getting people to look at your stuff. It was a web comic, so like this would be really cool. Man forgets his own work and reviews his own work, you know, and that would be a really good kind of catchy headline. And I worked out with this hypnotist. And we even came up with a plan. I was going to have my friend call me after the session and go, "Hey, we got these guys in my class in Philadelphia that draw a lot like you,
Right.
and they really like your work. Would you review their book?"
Right.
And the guy just was a shitty hypnotist. He was really bad. He was like, I'm in there going, this is not working. This is not working. This is not working. And then I've seen really good hypnotists that like, you know, they get people like that. And I'm just like, ugh, I picked the wrong guy. So, but like one of the things I'm gonna get out of this one, but I love the fact that you know, we were talking about how things are inspiring. Like we talked about Nightcrawler, and I think I just put I put a couple other his friends in here, and like this one here was based upon. That's based upon the fact that in the comics, I learned that Nightcrawler, when he teleports more than a mile, he comes out in horrible pain. So I wanted to see. So I made him go like a mile straight up in the air, and that's why he looks like he's in tortured pain. So that was the whole thing. So like you know, our writers, the writers that write these books, they're the ones that like make the blueprints for a lot of like what inspires us to visually. So anyway.
That's a very common thing. When you're looking at a painting, you're staring at the same image for a long time. And I remember thinking about that, and it was Mick Jagger who was talking about when you're working on a record, you're hearing the same song over and over again, and they're editing it and adding instruments, and you know, like, let's put a little more saxophone in, and they play it over and they listen to it, and then, you know, we need more of a backing vocal here and this and that. And he said, like, by the time the record comes out, you don't even want to hear it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not the same as someone who gets it and pops it on.
It is.
Of course not. No, you'll never get that.
You never get that experience.
But the cool thing I noticed is on some of the Marvel Masterpiece cards, they took the same image, and on some of them they flipped it.
Yeah, they flipped
a
it.
mirror image.
Yep.
Yeah.
And your brain isn't used to seeing that. And I remember looking at it, and I was like completely amazed, because the photorealistic aspects that you're going for that make it look really realistic, that you sort of, that magic doesn't work anymore after you've worked on it for a long time. And when you see the flipped version, it's like you're seeing it for the first
it's
time.
true.
And I was like, wow,
It's
that
true.
looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
Wow,
they
that-
did- they
that looks
did
like
that.
a real mask he's putting on or something.
Yep.
You know?
They did
And
that a couple on a couple.
That's cool. And
Yep.
so you could have saved all the money on the hypnotist.
I know. I know. Get a mirror. Get a mirror. There you go. The mirror would have been a better hypnotist than the hypnotist.
This stuff, yeah. Let's look at some great Dave's work.
So you go to
Now,
Gambit.
You shut up.
Go
I'm
to
gonna
Gambit.
through all your work here. Talented bastard.
This one was simply based on my brother. Because he would always go, "Hey Dave, want to play 52 pickup?" And I'd be like, "Sure." And he'd go,
I like your brother. I like your brother.
Yeah, right. So, because I'm the youngest of four, so I just said, you know, Gambit doing 52 pickup. They explode, you know. It's just, you know, yeah.
Did you use your brother for reference on this? Or?
No, I didn't.
I used my sister as Rogue. On
Oh, you
one of the
did?
Cards. Yeah.
That's
I have
cool.
an image of that.
Yeah, show it. I want to see
Let's see.
it.
Well, let's go through yours first. Talented bastard.
How much?
Let's see this bishop one here.
Bishop.
I remember.
This one,
Lovely
this one,
perspective on
this would have been a better piece if I took his hand, which wouldn't work because it would be off the thing, and tilted it like this, so it was like coming in this way. Because the gun and him would be coming in towards his face, but because of the
Stop. and
but
escalate.
it just I had to kind of pull it over.
Shut up.
I don't know. That's me.
Talented rat bastard. Come on, admit it.
All right, I'm a rat bastard.
I love this. I love, what is that, colored pencil?
Yeah, all that's a mix of splatter with a toothbrush and colored pencil.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah, I use colored pencil. Yep.
That's
yep.
a nice.
And that one, if you turn your head, the green is actually the ground and the sunrise coming up in the background. He's doing a loop to loop.
Oh, dear.
That's
Okay,
nice.
okay. Yeah, no,
Is there one? Okay, that's the last one there, so let's go back through here, Gambit.
Oh, nice. Go right back through everything. This one was such like it was the one time. The thing is, like, as an artist, you have or a writer, you have to advocate for yourself. You have to sit there and go,
Sure,
I
sometimes you
wanted
have to fight for yourself.
Yeah. And so what they had was, see that bar on the bottom that's for the screen? They had the word, Omega Red in a bar at the bottom.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, could we have the coils come up
Go through there?
underneath it and go over it? And they're like, no, we don't do that. That's the way we do things. We slap the bar at the bottom. And I'm just like, and I just started working on it. But guys, you're going to lose the 3D effect. It's going to be behind it and it's not going to come out at
Right.
you. You like my work because it comes out at you.
Yeah.
Do you really want to take that down a notch? And they're just like, no. So if you find this card, and I have it at my table, it's actually you can they
put it
it's
under.
and the only one they did that in the set. So it's like you got to really advocate for yourself. So remember Tom Fleming?
Oh, yeah? Was it? Yeah.
This one was like me trying to not draw boobs and butts because the reason why is because I thought Rogue was such a powerful character. She's one of the toughest characters in the X-Men.
Sure.
And I really wanted her to. I didn't want it to be distracted by like lots of
TNA.
shiny things, you know. And so it was really like I actually, I actually even made her breasts smaller. And most fans was like, why did you do that? You know, but it was
I'm
just
not a misogynist.
yeah.
That's why.
It's all right, but there's plenty of her with her stuff exposed. But which is weird because some people come up at conventions. This one goes like, Dave, I do like lots of selling of commissions for people overseas, and I like the characters with the breast exposed. You know, like maybe Storm with the boobies out. Would you do that? And I'm like, no. It's just kind of odd.
Sexualized enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
And it's like for these other clients,
Okay.
not me.
This was Nelson doing an English accent.
But it's it's just like you do, like as artists, you do things to challenge yourself to make it a little bit more character based. I want you to notice how strong she was. So
That's a great one.
this I did twice. Yeah, I don't have the original here. It's at my table if you want to come by and see it. But I done the legs weren't there, the arm wasn't as ripped and everything, and the face was nothing like that. And he had a little tiny button nose. And they sent it back to me, said, redo. Could you change the nose? It looks too like Santa Claus. And so I went in and I
Because I
turned
think
him.
of Sabretooth, I think Santa Claus.
Right. Well, when you see it, you got to see it. It's similar, but way different. I wish I had the originals to show you. That's it. And this Storm was just basically, I had my friend Marcy stand on a chair. Hold the ceiling. She's a dancer. So like when you get your models, like I've gotten models before and they don't know how to pose. Like you find like a bodybuilder at the gym who's like really like the right body type, and I'm like, okay, pose, and they'll be like, and I'm like, no, like you're holding a sword, and you're just like, and
Boris Vallejo would talk about that. His
Yeah.
favorite, if you know Boris Vallejo,
Yeah.
his famous fantasy
Yeah.
bands. His favorite models were illustrators because they knew
Yes.
what you were going. So when you
Yep.
held the sword, it wasn't this like
Yes.
the sword with the,
Yes.
that
Yes.
regal pose, or when they held the model,
Yes.
she would do that, and they'd have that real energetic because they know if they were going to draw what they would
Yeah,
they
what
would
they
be
were
looking
looking
for. So,
all I have to say to like, if if I had you pose, I'd say,
you don't want to have me pose. My gut would not fit Storm's head.
Well-
the waist is a lot tighter than that.
but if I said to you, sit like Dr. Doom, you would absolutely know that you get down like this, like with the on
Well,
the
that's
on
the
the
Mephisto thing.
it is Mephisto, but Doom sat like that too. He had that kind of like powerful.
Yeah, like a pimp.
Yes.
Yeah, how you like me now?
Yeah, exactly. But illustrators definitely know. So yeah, I think that's it.
That's it?
That's a wrap.
I think that's it.
Let's take a look here. Check if there are any ones here.
I don't think there's any
probably
more.
covered.
You got them.
Right?
Yep, you got them all.
Nice.
Let's see some of yours.
This was for DC. This was like Emerald Dragon, and I realized that I had accidentally put his shoulder pad with this sort of dragon thing on the wrong side of his body. And then you see this white area here? I actually had to put the word bar in reverse. So when they
Oh,
flipped it,
right.
and if you take a look at my name here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
see that's written in mirrored as well.
Who's Woslin?
Exactly. And I like these kind of creepy alien guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, this like, well, he's got this guy by the hair over here, and he's holding him down, and he's got a broken bat that I guess he tried to smash over his head here, and he's got this kind of
Yeah.
kind of look on his face.
I love the hand, the forearm gills or whatever those things are.
Yeah, that was
That's
fun.
like
Just
really-
kind of giving him like some weird metal elbow thing. And,
Mhm.
I love doing monsters and aliens. It's so
Yeah.
much fun.
I remember this. This is such an iconic picture. You did an awesome
Just
job.
he's the actual Galactus character is supposed to be incomprehensible to man, beyond our
Right.
capability of understanding.
Yeah.
Like And this is a version that's simplified for mankind to actually be able to relate. And that's it. The world is in his hands and just sucking it dry. And this was a Gambit piece.
Did somebody
And,
pose for that?
This
Yeah,
was a
this
canvas
looks like a
card,
pose,
yeah. This one's definitely a.
Yeah, but see, like the getting somebody to pose, all those wrinkles in are what make the perspective on the arm. So if you don't do those wrinkles right, you don't get that perspective on the arm.
Right.
So that's great.
And also subtle stuff you get from the photos, like the light blue of
Yeah.
reflected light. And
Yeah.
now stuff like this I would just make up. Like this is just
Right.
wing this building here. Once you have an idea of the light that falls on him,
Right.
then you can mimic or you can guesstimate how the light will fall on the other areas
Right.
there.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So this was like a
Yeah, that's
Ghost
the
Rider
one.
thing.
That's the one.
And I think I got a little bit of a leather reference on a photo here. I think the sleeve is what I had, and the rest I had to make up.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of used this based on this, and you have to realize that the light source is coming from here.
Right.
So that the
Yeah.
wrinkles, the light catching on here is not the way the light is catching on this one.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yes. Yep.
Quick question.
Alright.
All you had was a sleeve?
I think if I'm correct, I had a jacket posed. I think I put a stick or something through the sleeve, and I lit the sleeve, and that's how I got these like wrinkles, like so.
Right.
And then I made up the glove and these little spikes and stuff. Sometimes you just need a little bit of information of what the light's doing,
Right.
Yep.
and then you can make up the rest. If you don't have anything to go on, it can
Yeah.
get pretty tough. Oh, let's go from something.
Yeah.
This, for example, I had a photo of a guy diving, sort of Olympic diver.
Right,
They're
right.
standing
Yep.
on a thing.
Yep.
And then you can kind of fade out the body with the brightest area of the flame sort of thrusting out, like so.
Yep.
And it's funny because you have to realize what would this look like in real life. And the real Human Torch has these sort of like barbecue lines.
Yes,
You've
the
ever seen
barbecue
that?
lines, yeah.
It looks like a chicken breast that was on
Yes.
barbecue
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yes.
And it always looked cool, like it was on fire, but it didn't. I didn't know how to translate it, so I
Right.
figured the best thing I could do was sort of tint it with reds in the darker areas,
Oh, okay.
and then the highlights would just burn so bright
Yes.
that then they would become flames and kind of pull.
That's the
themselves
thing
down.
about like people when they paint fire. The thing is, it's light. If it's during the day, like if it's like noon and you have a fire, it's orange. But like in
Darkness.
darkness, even more so. But that just shows how hot he's
It should be
he's glowing.
hot, kind
Yeah,
of, right?
yeah.
Where the thrust
Yep.
is really.
Yep.
This they didn't actually use in the set. They over-commissioned pieces,
Oh, okay.
Yep.
and they wanted the Juggernaut there, and I just.
Yeah, I didn't get to do him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got to I got to the sketch and they killed it. So at least you
Oh,
got the
really?
full thing.
Yeah, but I don't think they ever printed it
Yeah.
in anything else. They didn't want to use it in another set or anything. And this is the Lizard. This was for like Fleer Ultra Spider-Man. or
Yeah,
something.
that's right.
Spider-Man.
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 Now you've ruined the movie for everyone.
And now for the
You
tap
know
dance.
you're gonna look at that movie and you're gonna be like, Nelson!
This one I think I had my friend pose, and I had like a lab coat.
Right.
And I got a little bit of this with some lighting, blue light, and then just matched this lizard head.
But I like how it's not like it looks like the way it was drawn. You know what I mean? It looks like the original design. It doesn't.
That's
It
kind
doesn't.
of important. Did you want to try? I think that's important to try and take what the old guys had done and try to find a way to make it believable,
Right.
as if you could actually see it, what it would really look like in real
Right,
life. That's
okay.
the whole fun of doing a painted piece and trying to get it to come to life.
Right.
This with Magneto, I didn't really know what to do with metal, and I still think his helmet is kind of crooked.
Was
It
that
didn't
all
work.
done with airbrush?
No, just some of this background stuff. Most
No,
of this
no,
is
no.
just
But I
brush.
mean, like that up there was not digital.
Oh yeah, yes.
'Cause
there's
this is
no
back in the
digital.
day.
There's no digital stuff on it.
Because most people look like, oh, this is digital. You know?
No.
So this is when you had to work for it.
Yes.
You really had to work.
Actually, I had to mask off this stuff and paint it. Once you sprayed it,
Oh my
that was
God.
that. And
Yeah.
This sort of circular thing. I had to get this sort of like circular thing. Was not an easy thing to get.
Yeah, can
You
imagine.
have to like really
Yeah,
be
the
steady
camera
with your
something.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I think I might have actually had a template, circle template. I put the airbrush inside it and went in a circle like that to get
Right.
that. That
It's-
was not one of my favorites, actually. Neither was this one. I found this to be, didn't have an underwater feel to it. It's a little too clear.
Well, the light, I mean, the colors you used are definitely underwater. So,
Oh yeah, I give him this tinted blue and stuff like that, but something told me I should have created some more atmospheric perspective or darken this so much so that the shading of the shadows being under those cliffs, you know, where the light doesn't really fall at some point,
Right.
would obscure it.
I still think it
So,
looks awesome.
You know, I just like this little goofy fish guy.
Yeah.
I saw him in, like,
Yeah,
book on
sometimes-
fish, and I'm like, you, my friend, are getting painted today.
Yeah. And it's like something, you ever like draw like a panel or something and you just fixate, you know, like my buddy was like, you love drawing the coffee guy. You know, it's just like, yeah, the coffee guy. I love drawing the coffee guy. And who cared about the characters in the background? I was just having fun. Like, that's what it looks like. You were like, you really enjoyed the film.
I was inking John Byrne on Superman or Action Comics at the time, and he did this scene where Lois Lane is interviewing people, and he just didn't want to draw these backgrounds. So in the background, I just drew myself with like a cup of coffee in the background. Nothing. There's like a little fence there, a little thing with some bushes, and just like me, like hanging out with like a cup of coffee in the corner, like in your dreams, weirdo. All right, here we go.
And Lois is there.
These are like fun ones where you just wing it and just go paint
is water
for
and
fun.
white
This
rain?
was
Oh my god.
I think this is
Okay.
World
That's-
of Warcraft.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
That's really cool.
So
I never saw this one.
and
You know that
I don't
face
think
of
I
that
ever saw it. I
woman?
don't think they ever sent me that. Huh?
That face of that woman looks like a Corbin face.
It does. You know, that's
Doesn't
funny
it?
you mention that. That's funny. But this is when you just kind of wing it, where they're not paying you a lot, and you're just like, I'm gonna just draw. Or they don't have a lot of time to finish
Oh my
it.
God.
Right.
Here you can even see some like pen line where I use like a micron
Yep,
or
yep,
something. So.
yep.
But here we go. This was a pretty fun one. This is John
Yeah.
Babcock, who was actually
Oh,
a
that's John
letterer for
Babcock?
Marvel. Yeah, these are bad scans. I think I should have these rescanned. And he had supposedly Quicksilver had an arrogance to him, so I had him do this sort of pose,
Yeah.
sort of judging arrogance, and it kind of really worked. And they liked that one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
And
good one.
you didn't have to show him using his power. It was
Yeah.
about his sort of attitude.
Yes,
you
yes.
know?
His arrogance.
And this one was the Rhino. I like he was just in a thing of rubble, kind of tossing this brick up and down, like, yeah, whatever. And I just wrecked it. And I gave him this big thuggy sort of face.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
give that giant arm with the triceps and stuff like
Yep,
that.
yep.
He's such a fun character. But, you know, when you realize how big the hand is, how ridiculous the characters were when they were drawn, that it's just completely inhuman
Right.
in proportions and stuff. This is my sister who posed for me for Rogue.
Right.
And this was
Really?
yeah. She's very lovely. Yeah. And this was kind of fun because I got to paint my sis.
That is cool.
I remember this is the old kind of Muscle Beach kind of thing, and she just has little two fingers
Yeah.
holding
Yep,
a 2,000 pound
2,000
barbell. I just put a little seagull over there, right?
Yep, yep.
Go. This one I kind of
think I
liked,
ever
where
saw
he's
this
just kind
one.
of looking at the mask,
I never saw this
you know,
one.
Yeah.
contemplating. This was for like Fleer Ultra Spider-Man.
That's great.
Yeah, where he's just kind of contemplating the responsibility of Spider-Man. Right? This Storm.
That's-
This one I wanted to make sure too. She looked like a black woman. I found in a lot of things she looks like a white woman with a little bit of a tan. And I
Right,
found that
right.
they really didn't give the real African heritage. I mean, she's from Africa.
Yeah.
You know, she's not even like an African American that might have a mixed, you know, that she was African. And I found that was sadly kind of lacking a lot.
Right.
So when I found this, I made sure that I really brought a African look too.
Cool.
And this was the Thor.
That's the
thing.
shirtless Thor.
This is the shirtless
That's the
Thor that
Chippendale
we were
Thor.
talking about. Yes.
Oh no, my Thor's costume was even worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it had an X going across it and a
How could
belly
it be
shirt.
worse than this? This is terrible.
Dude,
Like
you
a-
wait till
I'm
you
not
see-
saying you're odd. I'm saying
No, it was a belly shirt, and he had an X, like a two big bands. It looked like a sadomasochistic, like gigolo.
Bondage outfit,
It
right?
was really bad.
This I actually scratched.
That's cool, man. That's
the
awesome.
rain, I actually took a razor blade and scratched into the
Really?
blade
Oh, yeah, that's
to
cool.
create those, like, which I said to myself, like, dude, you do this, there's no coming.
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
I
yeah,
started
yeah,
scraping
yeah.
this painting out,
But
I
it
said,
totally makes it.
"Fuck
It
this,"
does,
and I was
it
like
does,
done
yeah.
with it. You're either gonna
Wait, I
ruin
want to
it-
show. I love this area right here. Isn't that beautiful right in here?
That's when you get a good photo reference there.
Wow.
Where they have that nice.
It's just
lighting.
like really sculpted and three-dimensional, very nicely done.
You got to thank these bodybuilders who oil themselves up.
Yes,
and
yes,
use it.
yes,
And come and pose for Nelson.
Well, I use myself for that as reference. And this was just kind of fun, just him like ready to rage over the city or something. Yeah, kind of right. Like, someone stole my newspaper again. Will you shut up playing that crappy music? God damn it! Some people are trying to slave around here. Some people are trying to murder people. Will you stop it with that crap? Day and night! Pooch, 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 pooch. God damn it! There we go. This one I just had a little fun with because he has that war machine, that's spinning one. I had no reference for this. And I actually used a little like, colored pencil and stuff and just wanted to make these shells kind of fly. I should have put much more smoke and stuff here, and I just didn't get enough of it. And it should have been kind of in this area here, the shells coming out of the smoke. I think we were running low on time on this one.
Right. I like how you how the metal, like, and this is it's as visual people, as illustrators, sometimes you're like, how do I get Spider-Man or Iron Man to show some emotion? You know, you actually you're warping the metal.
Warping the
wouldn't
metal.
really do that,
Correct. Yeah.
you know. But it's like you got to do
Yeah,
that.
you can't make Iron Man look surprised, like unless like unless the metal bends. So you kind of have to pick, you know. And I think that's it.
That's it.
That's awesome.
All right.
Very nice.
Well, guys, thank you for
Yeah.
hanging out with us and having our. Give it up for ComicFest 2017. Thank you, guys.
And when
Tieri, Dave DeVries, and Nelson.
and remember to curse Nelson when you watch Spider-Man because he's ruined your movie.
Spider-Man!
I'm trying to kill people. Turn it down.
Spider-Man!
Spider-Man.